Here's a story you may have heard before. A group of Eastern spiritualists are looking up at the stars and they see a new star they haven't seen before. According to their understanding of astrology, the new star means that a new king has just been born. These wise men are so convinced by this evidence that they undertake a long journey to go meet the new king and bring him gifts. Along the way, they meet the existing king of that region and they tell this king about the reason for their journey. The king asks these wise men to bring him news of the child upon their return so he can go and worship him also. The men's astrology proves correct, and they find the child and give him their gifts. While making the journey back home, a spiritual entity communicates with the men, advising them not to go back to the king, because the king secretly wishes to kill the child so as to prevent any competition for his position. The wise men listen to the spirit and return home a different way without talking to the king. Another spirit, or perhaps the same spirit, also advises the child's parents to flee the country because the king will try to kill the child. The parents flee the country with the child, and the king, not knowing which child is his potential competitor, orders all the young boys in the region to be killed. Do you know that story? Well, I find it interesting because the media has been talking recently about something it calls conspirituality. This is a new smear term for people who believe in spirituality and also in conspiracy theories. Why is it the same people who believe in both? Well, the story I just told demonstrates why. How did the wise men and the parents of the child in the story believe in the conspiracy theory that the king was trying to kill the child? Because an angel from God told them so. So why do people today who communicate with spirits believe that people in power do evil things in secret? Because the spirits tell them so. Modern churchianity has been neutered. Can you imagine what would happen if someone came into a modern church and said, "I had a dream where a spirit told me to leave the country because someone was trying to kill my child"? How would people react? Probably, most people would either say he's crazy or he's possessed by demons. What if someone came into a church saying he expected something to happen because he saw a change in the stars? Again, either he's a goofball or he's involved in something satanic. The Christian church has fallen very far from its roots. I can speculate on why that is, but we might be getting into conspiracy theory territory again. And so it's no surprise that a lot of spiritualists don't like Christianity very much. Being told that what you do is of the devil gets tiresome after a while. It's a shame because spiritualism needs Christianity, just like Christianity needs spiritualism. Spiritualism is a mess because it has no organizing principles. It's a bunch of people talking to a bunch of spirits who all say different and contradictory things, and hardly anybody has any solid criteria of which spirit should be believed and which should not. After all, spirits are like humans. Some are good, some are not. Some tell the truth, some lie, some are wise, some are ignorant. Christianity provides that criteria. 1 John 4:1 and 2 says, "Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test these spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world." This is how you can recognize the Spirit of God. Every spirit that acknowledges that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. I bet you never read that in Sunday school. So this is the solution to the hodgepodge of New Age people bickering about how their spirit is right and the other person's spirit is wrong. Or worse, that your truth and my truth can both be valid even if they contradict. The solution is to have objective criteria by which to measure the spirits. Most people now don't know this, but a lot of study has been put into this already. That is, structured scientific research on the validity or lack thereof of spirit communications. This body of research was initially conducted in Europe in the late 19th century. These scientists and other researchers collected thousands of spirit communications from a wide variety of spirits and mediums, that is, people who were able to communicate with spirits, examined their validity, and picked out patterns. Here's the high-level summary of what they found. Spirit communication is real. The spirits knew things far beyond the capacity of the mediums communicating with them, in some cases even different languages. Every person is capable of sensing spirits to a greater or lesser degree. For some, it's just a vague sense that we often call intuition. Those who have the highest level of sensitivity, called mediums, can communicate ideas from spirits directly. Not all claims of spirit communication are real. Some people who claim to communicate with spirits are faking, either for money or attention. Spirits exist at all levels of morality. Some are evil, some are good, and many fall somewhere in between. Spirits exist at all levels of intelligence. Some are wise, and some can barely string together a sentence, and everything in between. Some spirits are honest, and some lie. Some pretend to be something or someone they're not. Wise spirits with a high level of morality proclaim the truth of Jesus Christ, as per the passage in 1 John above. Curiously, this body of knowledge has been mostly lost to history, with one big exception: Brazil. In the 1910s, a 4-year-old boy from a small town in the interior of Brazil began receiving messages from spirits. Those spirits told him about this movement in Europe called Spiritism that studied all things spiritual. This boy's name was Chico Xavier, and his story is a long and fascinating one. I won't go into detail here, but Chico received a large number of spirit communications in the form of letters and books. His writings included such things as sophisticated medical texts, unknown to him as he was barely literate, predictions of the future, and communications in languages unknown to him, including English. Chico became famous in Brazil and a proof of the validity of Spiritism to millions of Brazilians. But this knowledge has mostly stayed there. Brazil is a rather isolated culture. It's the only Portuguese-speaking country in the Americas, surrounded by countries that speak other languages, and the few other countries that do speak their language are thousands of miles away across the ocean. So, like Las Vegas, what happens in Brazil generally stays in Brazil. The only reason I'm privy to this knowledge is a string of seeming coincidences that kept drawing me towards Brazil and its culture, despite me until recently having no connection to Brazil or any Brazilian people whatsoever. Of course, now I believe that these were not coincidences at all, but rather conspirituality. The spirituality was conspiring to bring me to this knowledge. Perhaps so I could share it with you.